when I see the Judas Priest on the wall, I'm a big Judas Priest fan.
People are excited about it, like really, really excited.
I need to spend more time with my family, spend more time with my friends, I'm gonna do a break now.
Can I jump off already?
It's a money.
That's awesome.
It's not a plastic band.
Sodom fans will definitely support the decision either way.
The music is still my life. And if you have a metal fan making heavy metal music, that's the best way it is.
Hello, you metal pilgrims, and a very special welcome to all the Sodom fans on the show, because today, for the first time ever, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, but we have nobody else but Tom AngelRipper on the show. Tom, thank you so much for finding time and joining me. How are you, man?
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah. How are you?
Good. As I told you, I haven't gotten much sleep lately, but been in Ukraine, but all is good. I get to talk about heavy metal with the people who, whose music I love. Can't complain.
Yeah, we have metal fans worldwide, especially Ukraine,
Yeah.
Everywhere, And, I can tell you, it's a shame that we couldn't have any chance for playing live shows, in your country, It's also Russia. We played in Russia every year,
Yeah.
Now, this is gone for a long time, I think.
Tom, the biggest news about Sodom these days is obviously the release of the Arsonist, your new studio album, which will be out on June 27th this year. So first of all, congrats on finishing up the work on it. And before we dive anything deeper into the way you guys recorded it and everything like this, can you tell us a little bit about the creative process, about how it all came together into this one cohesive piece that your fans will be able to hear very soon?
For me, it's a lucky day because I get the first copy in my hand,
Oh, shit, that's awesome.
That's always after the hard work over the last 2 years, For me, it's always a special day to get it in the final product in my hand,
That's awesome.
And we start working, when we recorded the Genesis, and Genesis 19 was finished and it was released. And that was after the Corona pandemic, we had a lot of live activities,
Yeah.
But if you're going to find some time between the shows and everything, we start writing songs,
Mm-hmm.
There is no special time period when we start writing a song, because we still have a rehearsal room, and if a guitarist came up with the idea for guitar riff, we meet in a rehearsal room and putting everything together,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to arrange the songs because I put my lyrics on it. I'm a singer in a band, So we're always busy writing songs,
I'm going to be honest, I was able to listen to the album already and I loved it. It's been on repeat for me for the past 2 weeks now or something. It is both very old school sounding, but at the same time, it's very 2025 like. It's fresh and crisp and it sounds very fresh overall.
Yeah, the brand new songs, but it sounds old school because we recorded on tape,
Mm-hmm.
We're sending also the information material now. And for me, that was a big experience recording on tape again, But we just recorded the drums on the tape. A friend of Tony is running a studio with a tape machine, analog desk and analog effects and all that stuff, And I asked him, do you still recording bands on the tape?
Mm-hmm.
He said, yes. If you want to try it, the thing is, if you're a drummer playing on tape, you just have one chance.
Yeah.
If there is any issues or mistakes in the end of a song, you have to restart from the beginning, But Tony said, I'm a good drummer. I tried to do it in one take, But in the end, I think there is not a big difference between recording on tape or digital, in my opinion. But the big difference is that we don't use any samples, like modern bands gonna do now. Samples for a snare, putting some plugins for the drums or the bass drums, whatever. We don't want,
Mm-hmm.
I want to have the natural drum sound in a production. I'm coming from the 80s and I prefer bands from the 80s because of the organic drum sound, The problem in the end was the most people are going to listen to music on a smartphone.
And then you have to compress it.
Yes, it's a shame, I listen to do metal music on my stereo equipment,
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, when we're gonna mix the album and do the mastering, we have to compress the whole file,
Mm-hmm.
Because if you listen on a smartphone, you have a wide open production. You don't hear the guitars,
Yeah.
It's a shame, but it's the way it is nowadays. But we try to do new songs. no modern sounds. We never think about doing a modern old school song. We just doing a new songs, and that is the only difference, Um, but I still get the natural organic drum sound. That is very important to me.
I think you can hear it, and I always say that in the modern day and age, heavy metal fans overall, like nobody else, they value authenticity and value real music and real production. And I think it shows, and it shows in the diehard following the Sodom fan, the Sodom as a band has for so many years. And the response to the first singles you guys have released so far has been incredible. I'm
Yes.
blown away.
Yeah, that first single was Trigger Discipline, The second one was Witch Hunter. That was a tribute to our ex-drummer, And the next song will be Tachyphobia.
Oh, that's possibly my favorite song on the album. So
And you will be surprised. These songs are written by our drummer Tony.
really, wow.
Yeah, he's what a lot of people don't know. He's a very good guitarist,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a very good. He has many ideas for writing songs, putting everything together. So this makes us also the colorful, because we have a couple of songs written by Frank Blackfire,
Mm-hmm.
which is a typical thrashiest Agent Orange style guitar with you,
The riff based, yeah, the riff based,
and Jorn is coming more from a epic metal scene, and everything, and so we put it. And Jorn is coming. Tony's coming. It's more a black metal, death metal drummer before he's joined Sodom, and so we're putting everything together, But it doesn't matter, I think Sodom is not a typical thrash metal band, We are just a metal band, in my opinion, And it doesn't matter if there are black metal influence in it or not, Come on, we started. We are the second generation of black metal bands, But I don't want to call it black metal, It's just metal, And when we start writing songs, we never think about, is it thrash metal, is it heavy metal? If you think so in this just very short way, you are not able to write good songs, So we have melodic parts in it, melodic guitar solos, It doesn't matter, in my opinion, if it's a good song and we keep the typical solo trademarks, like my vocals, my bass song, it's a solo song.
I agree with you, and I think this album in particular shows the diversity of Sodom's sound. You have some parts when, like, especially in solo, I was like, oh, that's very new wave of British heavy metalish. And then in some other ones, there is some darkness of the 70s metal, like, for example, Sad Wings of Destiny by Judas Priest. You could feel the different eras intertwining in this record. And maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but do you think that it is specifically because you have now 4 band members, 4 songwriters, which is something that you haven't had before, that are kind of pushing the horizons of the Sodom sound into
exactly. I think on Genesis 19, Tony didn't write songs. He was a drummer.
Yeah,
I think a drummer playing drums also making music. So, but now he came up with guitar riffs, which are completely different to Frank's or York style. And that was amazing, And I think I do Trigger Discipline, for example, Tachyphobia, one of my favorite songs on the album, because I like more the heavier stuff, faster stuff,
Yeah.
Yes, but the typical Sodom trademark are still in, and that is important,
And Exodus are all, we started talking about that before we started recording, actually, but Exodus are famous for their war-themed lyrics. But for a long time, for only near 40 years, that was more about the history stuff. It was like a history book kind of storytelling. Now, unfortunately, it is not. So do you feel like the events in Europe and in around the world, unfortunately, right now, do you feel like they influence the way you write music today, or you think you're trying to abstragate yourself from it completely?
I think the way you're going to write something, or the way you're recording an album, had a big impact to the scene. When the people go, oh, you're recording on tape, So they realize that we spend a lot of time, we spend a lot of money to get it realized, to get it recorded on a tape machine, whatever, And that's what the people really like, That just Sodom is not a plastic band, Like other bands, you listen to the drum sound, that plastic sound, digital sound, I know it's the way it is, but we want to show the people that we are still metal fans.
Mm-hmm.
Just making music for a while. That is a big difference, We don't want to have overproduced sound in the music. We just have 2 guitars in a band, And that's the way it is, and that's the way we always been, Sodom never changed, really. We're getting better. If you compare it to, maybe we go back to Obsessed by Cruelty, whatever. It's an album. This album had a great impact on a scene, on the black metal scene. But nobody told us to tune the guitars when we're recording an album. It was really chaotic. We never mind, and that is the way all after over the 40 years till nowadays. It's the same, but we tune our guitars, and we try to play in timing. That's a big difference. I can tell you, we are not rock stars. We are just metal fans making music. That is a big difference to Sodom and all the other bands around. I hate this rockstar attitude. When people have to buy money for a signing session, whatever. We fuck them. We never took money for it. We want to give something back. And Sodom is a band who had a big support, a strong fan base. We know they're going to pay the price for the album, for the box set, for the merchandise, for the tickets, And Sodom is always a band who want to give something back, And we keep the prices low, and that's what our fans really accept and really appreciate, the fact that our fans are a part of the band.
And do you think the events around the world overall, do they influence your lyrics specifically on this album or overall in the past 3 years?
I think there are a lot of people who ask me, who is the Arsonist,
Yeah.
Is it President Putin? Is it President Trump? Whatever, No, it isn't. There is a big inspiration when I see what happened, every day, And that's the reason why we put this cover together, This 2 guys here on the cover, that's a really peaceful situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some guy who destroy everything, who want to set the world on fire, But there is I don't want to write about the big war. I don't want to write a big politics behind, There are songs like Tepiphobia, it's a soldier fighting on the front line, And this soldier is scared when granite exploding next to him, that he get buried alive by all the debris coming down, These are the small things. These people got to fight the war, Somebody gonna send the people in war, and he never fight in war for himself, He don't know what it is, war, But the soldier was fighting. It doesn't matter if it's a Ukraine, Russian, American soldier. It doesn't matter. He gotta die, And that's what I'm gonna write about sometime. But there is no political opinion, I don't want to tell the people who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, whatever, I don't want to keep any politics in my lyrics, I want to write about the soldier fighting the war,
Looking at the Sodom legacy in retrospective, do you feel like there's certain moments of the band's career, maybe particular albums in specific, that you're maybe the most proud of, or you feel like are the most important in your, or the most pivotal in the way that Sodom has developed and come to the point where you guys are at today?
I think there is a big legacy behind, definitely, We still have a big impact in the scene, and I'm proud of me and all the other guys who played in the band, all the people working around, that we are still alive, And that is the result of hardworking men. If you're a singer and a manager of a band, you have to work every day, constantly,
Yeah.
That's what the people don't know. The people think, the band is on stage, they are drunk all the time, they're a studio, It isn't. It is not, You are still working, I'm not a businessman, I want to keep the business far away from my personal, but I'm a musician, And that's what a lot of people don't know, what is going on behind the scenes, the business, the business getting really hard,
Yeah.
But Sodom is still a cult band, and we have a strong fan base, If you're a younger band growing up and you want to form a band, what's going on nowadays, They ask me, hey, Tom, what can we do to make the business, to get a rock star, whatever, Shall we gotta quit the school, the studio, or a job? You can't quit anything, Sodom was started in the 80s, and there was just a handful of bands who did this kind of music. And from that time, we are working really hard to get this band alive all the time, you know.
What is your biggest driver? What is your biggest passion? Is it love for music that keeps you going after all these years? Or at
It's
this
not,
point,
it's
you
not,
kind of jump off already, you know, because you've been doing it for so long.
it's the money. No, it's not the money, no. I'm still, you know, I love the music, you know, I love the job I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you that I want to slow down the things a little bit the next times, you know.
Mhm.
We still have 2 upcoming shows. It will be Copenhagen and Rock Hearts in Germany, you know, and then I make a break for myself,
Mhm.
for me personally, because I had, you know, it's my job. I know it's my passion, you know. But nowadays, now I need to spend more time with my family, spend more time with my friends, you know. I'm gonna do a break now. You
Mhm.
know. My doctor said you are still in a very good condition for your age, but keep it calm, you know, and slow it down, and we'll see what happens, you know. So I don't have any plans for a comeback, whatever, because I don't want to set myself on pressure
Mhm.
to give myself a day to come back or whatever, you know. Um, yes, but the music is still my life, and if you have a metal fan making heavy metal music, that's the best way it is, you know.
How are the guys with the decision of you slowing down after these couple of shows and after the release of the album, which a lot of critics are already saying that it is, and I agree with this, one of the best ones you guys did in a very long time. Are the guys okay with this decision? Do they support you on this one?
Yeah, they're gonna support me. I talked to the guys, I think 1 year ago, last year, we talk about they want to slow down. They say, okay, it's your band, it's your decision.
Mhm.
We support it. We are very loyal to your decision, you know. And I think about my boys too, you know, what they're going to do. I think Tony is going to play in 5 or 4 other bands, you know,
Mhm.
because this drummer, all the band want to get Tony on the drums, you know.
Yeah, it's great.
And I think Frank Blackfire, he's going to do his own solo project. It's called Frank Blackfire, you know, want to push it forward. He's also running a guitar school.
Mhm.
And Jörg is working in a record store in Dortmund, you
Mhm.
know. So I think they hope they are safe, you know. But in the end, it's my life, you know. I decided for myself. I decided this for my family and for my old school friends with outside the music, you know. I have a lot of friends outside the music, you know.
Yeah.
And yes, I know the record company that it's not a good situation, you know. You're releasing your album and you're gonna play the festivals. We have so many big festivals in Germany.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you know. We can play every festival if you want, you know. I know to decide this is always uncomfortable for everybody, you know. And yeah, but I decided, and so they said, okay, it's your decision. We accept, we respect it, you know. We push the album. I think the people are gonna buy this album anyway, if you're gonna play the songs live or not, you know. It's it's all the time. So we have so many albums out, and sometimes we have a live show with a set list of 45 minutes.
Mhm.
What can you play on a live show, you know? Maybe 1 or 2 from a new album, you know. You cannot leave the stage without Agent Orange and Bombnagel and all this stuff. That's the way it is, you know. That's the people come to the Soren show. They want to listen to Agent Orange, you know.
Yeah.
I know it's uncomfortable. It's always a bad situation. The time, the point to decide is always bad for the whole company around, you know.
Well, Tom, as a Sodom fan, I just want to say, and I think all the metal pilgrims and all the viewers of this show will agree with me on this one, is that your personal health, your personal, mm, I mean, just internal health and your relationship are the most important thing. And as much as we would love for you to go on the road once again, I hope that you'll take this time to recharge. And if you're feeling like you should come back, you will come back. But either way,
Yeah.
your legacy is already, speaks for itself. So I think all the fans understand that. That being said, of you taking a break and especially from huge touring and everything like this, do you think that there is time that you will be working on some solo projects sometime in the future again?
No, I don't have any plans for working on anything, you know.
No, not at all.
I think I got a sort of point with what's called Uncle Tom, you know. You for sure, you know, but Uncle Tom is gone for years.
Yeah.
You know, I split up with Uncle Tom during the Corona pandemic because I said, no, when the pandemic is over, people want to get book shows, solo shows, you know. So I'm just one person, you know. I cannot make solo and Uncle Tom. It's too much, you know. I remember times I played in 4 bands, you know. That was solo, Uncle Tom. There was also Desperados and a German project, Die Knappen, you know.
Yeah.
It's 4 bands was playing, you know. So I never get time for any other things, you know, because you know I'm a passionate hunter, you know. I need more time for doing this, need more time for doing that, you know. So I quit up with Uncle Tom. I quit up with Desperados years and decades ago, you know, and it was Club, you know. And Sodom was my main band, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you're getting 62 years old and the time is running so flying so fast, you know, you cannot do everything you want, you know.
Yeah.
So now the time is right to make a stop, to restart whatever with whatever, you know. That I really don't have any plans, you know.
Well, that's awesome. As I said, I think your Sodom fans will definitely support the decision either way, and hope you get the well-deserved rest.
Yeah, you heard about like Tom Araya a couple of years ago when he stopped doing this, you know, because he has a lot of serious health issues, you know, with the leg, and this one, and his shoulders, and everything, you know, and he's getting fat, you know, and all that stuff, you know. And he also told the people, so when we have a new album, we are touring worldwide, I'm never at home, you know.
Yeah.
I'm never at home with my wife. I never see my kids growing up, you know. And now he's sitting at home and on his farm. He's doing a couple of Slayer shows, you know.
Yeah. He feels good, I'm sure, about that.
And then it's, but not, but I'm still healthy. Believe me, you know. People say, yeah, he told me maybe he's sick, you know. I'm getting old, you know. Sometimes the same like getting sick, whatever, you know.
Nah.
I'm telling you, I'm really strong enough to do anything I want, you know. But now I want to do other things, you know. That's
good.
Simple.
And I think we all respect that. Tom, you said that you're still, first of all, you're a music fan, you're a metal fan, and then you're a musician. So, are there any? Is there any new music that you're particularly excited about that came out in the last couple of years?
No. You know,
but
I never have time for listening to music. But when I get my time for listening to music, I get my old school stuff out, you know.
Yeah.
When I see the Judas Priest on the wall, you know, I'm a big Judas Priest fan, you know. And, you know, when I want to get emotions away when I listen to music, you know.
Yeah.
I always get the Rock Hard magazine with new bands in it, you know. There was a couple of bands. I don't want to tell you this band is a good band or not, you know. I'm going to say it was my old school stuff, you know. But when we're going to play live shows, I'm going to, if some are looking for other bands, you know, what they're going to do, you know. But, you know, yesterday I listened to a very old school album called Vardis, 100 mph. It's an English band.
Okay. Yeah. I'll check it out afterwards.
Vardis.
Vardis. Yeah, Vardis.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I get an album in my cellar, I put it on record player. It's like going back to the 80s, you know. And this awakes emotions in me, you know. And when I get the old school stuff, you know. But I don't have time to buy I don't have time to listen to all the newer stuff. I don't have the money to buy all the stuff, you know. So I got to stay with my old school.
That's interesting. And overall, you know, like, and we were speaking actually with Rob Halford about that not so long ago, I think, that in the last couple of years, we see a huge resurgence of this love for classic metal sound. Last year was incredible for classic metal, classic heavy metal bands, and with Judas Priest's new album, with the Saxon's new album, Bruce Dickinson released his solo stuff. A lot of classic.
I heard the Judas Priest song. It's great.
It's incredible. And
it's incredible. You cannot compare it to my favorite Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. It always will be, you know.
Mine is different.
But they still have a good job, you know, and they still have the complete Judas Priest trademarks in every album, you know. That's what I really like, you know.
And this year is also great for, you know, more thrashy sound. I mean, you got new Destruction, you got new Sodom, Anthrax and Exodus are working on a new album, and they're supposed to be releasing them very, very soon as well. and people are excited about it, like really, really excited. So why do you think it is so that so many younger fans, and you see a lot of young kids at metal shows again, at the classic metal shows again? Why do you think it is so that there is a resurgence in this and a wave of interest in this classic metal sound?
I don't really don't know, but I know when we played live shows, there were really, really young people going to the Sodom show, you know. And I remember during the last meet and greet, there was a little girl, and she was 10 years old, you know. She was wearing a vest with all the patches from Venom, Hellhammer, and all the stuff, you know. And I talked to her that you were too young to know them, but she told me, I'm really interested in the old school metal bands because this was real heavy metal. And I asked her, you don't listen to Arch Enemy or whatever? She hated, you know.
Really? Wow.
That is a new generation who's growing up, maybe from the fathers listening to old school metal, or the grandfather, maybe, I don't know. But this new generation is interested in the bands from the beginning. They were interested in how everything began in 79 or 80, you know, historical bands. And she told me the music from the 80s is real heavy metal, you know. The sound, which you talked about, the drum sound and all this stuff, you know, it's completely different to new metalcore productions whatsoever, you know. When the band sounds like plastic guitar sound, plastic drums or whatever, you know. I'm really amazed about the new generation growing up, you know.
That's really interesting. I still think, or rather, I really hope that there will be a new generation of metal bands arising.
It will be. This music never dies, you know. Yeah, exactly. And I know there are modern bands who are getting bigger, you know, bigger and bigger. I never mind, you know.
No, it's great. I mean,
Sodom is not the biggest metal band, you know. I don't want to be the biggest metal band. When we go, we don't want to have any big live shows, whatever, you know. We just want to have good live show with a good sound, good light. Yeah. You know, the most important in a metal show is a band itself, and not the plastic and everything they're coming up on stage with, you know. I never mind, you know. And that's what the new generation really enjoy. You and your guitar. You are the star of the band, you know, or you and your bass guitar.
Tom, talking about heavy metal is literally my biggest passion in the world. I can do that for hours, but there is a time limit to these things. So to close this episode, can you tell us one craziest story or one of the funniest stories which has happened to you on the road together with Sodom in your 40-plus year long career?
There are thousands. If you ever saw the DVDs, Laws of Depravity, especially the one, you know what I mean, you know. I remember that. The funniest story was we came from Germany to Austria. And on the border, we take a piss, you know, and smoking a cigarette. I went to the toilet for taking a shit, you know. And I'm coming back. The bus was gone. With the crew, with my band, with the support band, you know. And I can tell you what, and after 5 days later, I was at home already, you know. There was so many shit, you know. That's what I want to do. Maybe the next time I have a fun time, that I'm going to write a book about Sodom, but my personal Sodom autobiography, you know.
That would be great.
And there will be a lot of funny stories and also not so funny stories, you know. But that is too much for telling you in the interview.
But that would be great. And actually, I'm one of those people who loves reading those. And I'm sure that you can tell a lot of really interesting stuff about and I feel like there's a lack of the Teutonic Thrash Metal stories represented in books. You know, we've got books from all the heavy metal, you know, English heavy metal stars, you know, like Rob Halford, Ozzy Osbourne, Bruce Dickinson, you name it. But when it comes to German classic thrash metal, there's a lack of those. So I would love to read your book, man.
There are a lot of stories not even told you nowadays, you know, but I will check it, you know.
Awesome. Maybe next time we speak, we'll already discuss it. But this was Tom AngelRipper of Sodom, and their latest studio album, The Arsonist, will be out on June 27th. So definitely check it out. I'm sure you will. If you're watching this interview, that means that you're a Sodom fan, and you will definitely check it out. Tom, thank you so much for your time and joining me. Keep rocking, man.
Take care, my friend. All right.